There was a time in gaming history at the end of the 7th generation that a lot of game companies thought that console gaming was over and that mobile was going to take over the market completely. Obviously, here we are, knee-deep in the 9th generation, and that hasn't happened yet, but it didn't stop some of the major game companies from dipping their toes. The one company that took a while to convince was the forever stubborn Nintendo. However, they did eventually cave, and it's the results of this industry pressure that I want to look at today. I remember all of these coming out, but I honestly never gave any of them a shot before this. I was in high school when they were releasing, and although I was into video games, it was during a period of time where it was not my primary hobby, so the thought of trying these never really crossed my mind. So now it's time to right that wrong. The first one I tried was Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. As someone who has been sinking far too much time into New Horizons recently, this was the game I was the most curious about. It's structured slightly differently than the main games, as to be expected, but I actually really like the gameplay loop. Basically, you're given a campsite to decorate, and you have to go around to different locations completing missions for villagers so you can have more visitors to your camp. Along the way, you can craft furniture, get customization items, and do the usual catching bugs and fish thing that you would do in any other Animal Crossing experience. With the ability to bring New Horizons with you portably now, though, I wouldn't really recommend this game for any other reason than curiosity. Fire Emblem is a franchise I have no experience with. I'm really not an RTS guy, or a turn-based combat guy, and with that, Fire Emblem is the embodiment of a not-for-me game. But as it was one of the most successful Nintendo mobile games, I should definitely give it a shot. I could see where someone that was more into this style of game would really enjoy it. I just didn't personally. I admire that the game had a full story mode with dialogue and everything, but it dragged quite a bit and the battles didn't feel fun to me. If you like Fire Emblem, I think this is a great mobile version of the full experience. I'm going to preface this by saying that there was no way in hell I was going to fork over $10 for this game, so my review is of all of the game that is available for free. I think this pricing is so expensive for what the game is, and there is enough stuff for free that paying really isn't needed. I had fun with this, as I was a big fan of endless runners in their prime, and this is a pretty good evolution of that concept. I loved being able to compete with people for toads, and the base building, although a small part of the game, was still fun as it really felt like you were building the Mushroom Kingdom back up, even in just the free section. I would download this, play through the free content, and then you can end your playtime there. I have to commend Nintendo for putting so much effort into a mobile game, as the graphics for this game look like they come right out of the console games. The one bit that is far worse than the console games is the controls. I personally find them really awkward, and I constantly found myself overshooting turns, or the game having to remind me that my finger moved too far up the screen. I like that they put a lot of the tracks from the main game into this one, as it's a nice portable way to play them. The biggest negative, though, I can say is the microtransactions. This game is the definition of pay to win. Most of the characters, cart customizations, and pretty much everything else you'd want beyond the driving is locked behind a lot of grinding or a huge paywall. Since a lot of these tracks have been added to 8 Deluxe through the Booster Pass, I don't see any need to download this game anymore. This app isn't around anymore, but I wanted to mention it because this was Nintendo's first mobile app. It was more of a social media platform than a game, and it's the only app on this list I had any experience with when it came out. I remember getting really bored really quickly, which I can imagine is probably what happened to a lot of other people. I would have more to say, except I can no longer play it, so all it gets is a mention. I can definitely see why Nintendo gave up on mobile development so fast. Aside from the fact that the Switch exists now and fills that portable need, you can also tell that Nintendo really didn't know what they were doing in this space. They tried their best though, and I'd say there's some good experiences here. I did leave out all of the countless Pokemon apps, so if that's something you'd be interested in seeing me cover in the future, let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can come back and see it. Thanks for watching.